welcome back into the Student Section Podcast, a podcast for student athletes by students who cover student athletes. Alongside of me is Michael, Mike, Max. Yours truly is Nate Babcock. We're going to be covering the MAAC tournament for the women's basketball and men's basketball side of things here in 2026. Me and Mike just arrived back this morning from Atlantic City. Mike, how you feeling?
Upset.
Yeah.
If I'm on the bias side of things, upset, but we had a really good week. It was some enjoyable basketball. 3 really good games when all came to push to shove. I mean, 3 games that finished within the last minute where it was decided in that time frame. And start off with the women's side.
Yeah, getting started with the women's side of things, it actually all started with a Marist matchup. It was Marist versus Manhattan, the 8 versus the 9 seed in the first round. And it was kind of reminiscent of last year's comeback. They were down 13 heading into the fourth. It was kind of a back and forth battle throughout the first 3 periods or the second and third periods. But Manhattan just warded them off, maintaining that double-digit lead. And going into the fourth, Mike, it was a little bit of hope for the Red Foxes.
They were up by 13, and, I was thinking exactly what I would assume most people were thinking. This is not how they go out. They weren't going to lose by 15. They weren't going to lose by 20. They had that comeback in them. You see it every year, it seems like, in the MAAC championships, and it's exactly what they did. They kept clawing their way back, and with about a minute 30 to go, they're down by 5. They're working in transition. Corsentino has a near wing 3 again, and all I could think about, and I think I said this on the radio, was deja vu. She missed the 3. This is the exact same situation as what happened last year against the Mount. Also, this time it was in the first round, in the quarterfinals last year.
Yeah, it was the baseline mid-range shot last year for Julia Corsentino. This time, the near wing 3. They're tough shots. They are. And
wait, you guys, my bad. You were at the game in person. I know it came down to the wire. Did you feel it, like, being there in person? Did the energy in the stadium at all, like, do you all feel defeated, or?
I'm not laughing at your question. I'm laughing at the energy part because
for
that game there was maybe 100 people, 150 people.
Yeah, I think they said 637-ish.
No way
total.
I think really.
Yeah, but
no way.
It's a big stadium, so maybe
it's a big arena. It didn't feel like there wasn't really any energy, and I could say that for every single game that we went to, which was through the semifinals on both sides. The crowds were okay, but it always seems as if the pep squads were the 2 loudest on either end.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't seem like the fans really had any impact.
Yeah,
minimal.
The bands really, really got after it in the tournament, and they caused a lot of. We saw a lot of missed free throws in the first half when you're shooting against.
Exactly.
The opposing team's pep squad. But let's get into the action. So, Marist hasn't won a MAAC tournament game since 2021. They've battled a slew of injuries this year.
Yep.
Erin Dowdy finishes this is her first senior class that she has coached for all 4 years. So there's a culture built for Dowdy, and it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward and how it all shakes out because they are losing some spectacular seniors.
Jackie Pittick, Kira Croker, Lexi Terrell, all will be going. Same with Morgan Tompkins. You didn't feel the impact of Tompkins this year because she didn't play. However, I think the team definitely felt the impact of not having her out there. She's a solid guard option. Pittick has been the one for her entire career, starting, I want to say, every single game or really close to it. She had to play a lot of minutes this year. You could tell that she was tired, and I think this was a big factor in that playoff game. She went 0 of 6, 0 of 5 from deep. Her shots were coming up short. It's sheerly because she was playing too many minutes. They didn't have enough depth when Williamson went down, and they never seemed to ever have a fully healthy guard room, especially when Malia Egan went down for the year. You pair that with Tompkins, who was out for the entire season. So just felt that was a big thing to note about this game. And Croker and Terrell, of course, you could talk about them forever. They are truly great additions.
That's difficult, too, is like, when players go down, everyone has to step up. Everyone has to fill a role. Everyone needs to play a level higher than they're expected to play. And that's really difficult, too, because you're supposed to play a role. You're supposed to play your part. But when you're expected to do more, it can be difficult, especially when there's the pressure that you want to go out there and you want to get a win, especially when wins haven't come that much in the tournament. So there's a lot of pressure there, and it seems like they just weren't able to get it done. Yeah. I think that's really disappointing.
Yeah, and playing above preseason expectation is Justine Henry. She really rised up to the moment. She had spectacular games, and some that Marist, frankly, weren't really in. She was huge. I won't say huge because it was a big loss, but against LSU, who is one of the best programs in the entire nation, she had a fantastic game. She had 15 in this game. She went 6 for 10 from the field. She was limited by foul trouble, and all things considered, in 24 minutes, 15 points.
That's really good.
Your first ever MAAC game. She's very talented as a freshman.
We can go back to that LSU game. She was, at the time, the first and only player in the entire season. Keep in mind, this was, I think, 7 or 8 games into the season to score 21+ with 8+ rebounds against LSU. It's the number 5 team in the country, and she did that in, I think it was her 7th career game, maybe 8th.
Yeah, one of those.
It's really impressive.
The next one was Miami, Ohio. That was the trip.
That was down in the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Is there anybody on the team that you think might be transferring after this year?
I think it's too early to tell. There's really no speculation because I think everyone loves the home they have in Marist, and it's very culture built. And I don't think the transfer portal will be much.
We'll see. If anyone, it would be Henry, I think, because they got eliminated in that first round, and she is really talented, but she might want to come back as the star. She's been committed here, I want to say, since her sophomore year.
Yeah, she's bought in.
She's been committed here for a while.
She's very much so bought in, and I think everyone knows what Dowdy's building. She kind of talked about it post-game after the loss, about the shoes she's had to fill. And it has been a process because they were a very much so winning program, and it is kind of just they've fallen short a couple times, but they're right there. They are right there. They're on the precipice of something that I feel could be really special.
I agree. You get the right recruits in. I know Coach Dowdy's really high on her incoming class.
Yeah,
I believe she said she's got the best player in the state of Rhode Island that's coming in, and also I want to say 6'3" center, so gonna have 6'3", maybe 6'2", 6'4", something along those lines. So
that's insane.
Not to quote me, or don't quote me, I should say, but pretty impressive recruiting class coming in, at least in her eyes. So
that would be huge.
See if that pays off for them next year.
This is so important too, to bring in these new players, these young players too, to kind of change the postseason kind of culture, if that makes sense, because you got to develop these players, and you want to try to make a narrative that we're going to go deep. And you got to start it now and start the culture of these young players, getting them in here and saying that, hey, this is a winning culture. We need to set the standard now. We need to bring this down the line for years to come, and we need to win, and we're going to win.
I think John Dunn on the men's side has done that really well, coming over from St. Peter's after 12 years with the Peacocks, transfers in as the coach to be leading the Marist squad past 8 seasons. He's come up short. He hasn't won that MAAC title yet. You felt the energy was coming close this year to possibly getting back to the championship game for the first time since 2023. They ultimately fell short, but Nate, I think first we should talk about their quarterfinal matchup against Quinnipiac, a game that they were not favored to win.
We were not favored to win, Marist that is, as we had a disagreement before the game about what would be the game of the tournament. You thought it would be Iona.
I thought it would be Iona Sacred Heart. Do you blame me? Dan Giroux versus Anthony Latina.
That game was crazy, Mike.
We watched that game together.
That was something. Sorry, I had to get the hair out of my eyes. That game was something, but the packed house for Quinnipiac Marist was ridiculous. Like the energy in there. We could barely hear ourselves on the call because of the people behind us. It was something, and it lived up to the hype. Marist won this game as the 5 seed against the 4 seed Quinnipiac, but Grant Randall and the Bobcats put up a fight, Mike.
These guys behind us that were screaming, they were screaming about Grant Randall, and rightfully so. He went 7 of 10 from the floor, perfect 5 of 5 from distance, 15 rebounds and 28 points. I mean, talk about an ideal day from a guy that you don't expect to be that guy. You're thinking it's got to be Amari Monroe, right? He was an All-MAAC first-teamer. He was an All-MAAC the All-MAAC preseason player of the year, and he comes in, shoots 5 of 15. He did put up a double-double with 18 points and 10 rebounds. I don't think that a lot of people were noticing that. I think that went under the radar a little bit, probably because of the Marist end, and one of their stars had a double-double in himself in Jaden Collins-Roberts.
Jaden Collins-Roberts, yeah, so I guess we'll start there. In that first half, he put Nate Gurungamba on a poster. I got to get it hung up in the house. It was something. I think everyone in the stadium, the Quinnipiac Marist side of things, everyone jaws dropped to the floor. Yeah. It was ridiculous. There were so many highlight plays throughout that. Parby Kabamba, a huge block on a finger roll layup in transition. It was just back and forth, back and forth. We got an Amari Monroe transition break. That first half was ridiculous, and then it was tied at halftime. And then you go.
Marist was up 10.
No, that was, yes, you're correct. Marist was up 10. Quinnipiac claws it back in the beginning of the first half, and then it's just back, forth. You don't know what's going to happen. And then it's just Justin Menard. And he hits a huge three, then comes back down, spins off the baseline, loses the former MAAC player of the year, Amari Monroe, on the baseline, hits the midi, and then comes back down, hits 2 straight threes. And it was just something. He just went off. Parby Kabamba had a big 3 down the stretch. Jaden Collins-Roberts, he got up 20 shot attempts. He was looked very comfortable out there, 19 and 11 of his own. It was a great game.
Now, how was it, like, honestly, being on air for that game, calling those games? I know you've done a lot in the past, but for doing it for the MAAC championship and in a game as exciting as that, like, I feel like that might have been an unforgettable experience.
It was really cool. Even with the crowd was definitely the best for the Marist Quinnipiac game. I would say that was one of the better crowds that was there. Of course, we're not there for the women's basketball championship tonight and the men's tomorrow. But I think those are 2 of the better crowds that we're seeing through the first 3 rounds, and it was great. I mean, we were tucked away in the upper deck because they gave student radio. Not the upper deck, but between the 200s and the 100s. Yeah. That's what they gave the student media.
I liked the vantage point.
I kind of liked it a little bit higher. I thought that was better.
Are you guys more of you want to be right on the court, or you want to be up high?
I like it up top.
I think for storylines and actually understanding what's happening on the court that you can't hear or can't really pick up vibe-wise, it's way better to be on the court. But for this, I definitely wanted to hear some things that Asim Jones and Jaden Collins-Roberts were saying back and forth to each other.
Bickering all day.
Zimmerman and Menard, too.
To the point that Trey Salton ended up getting ejected because of a flagrant 2 foul. He kind of just went like this with his elbow right into the face of, I want to say it was Grant Randall.
It was Grant Randall. He was jawing back and forth. I talked to some of the Quinnipiac broadcasters after the end. They're like, Grant Randall is one of the quietest players you'll ever meet.
Wow.
He's out there celebrating on him. He had
a career day.
Yeah, it was crazy. They said they've never seen anything like that. That's obviously a career high. And it was just back, forth, but it really just came down to Menard.
They must have had a lot of bad blood between them because for the season, they had 2 tight games.
Yeah.
They split it 1-1.
And it was a total of 1 point differential
that is insane.
Combined. I believe it was 129 to 128 in favor of Marist in the regular season. Yeah. And, of course, we got a 2-point game in the MAAC quarterfinals between these 2. You expected a really good duke between them.
Now, was this, if I'm wrong, my bad, but was this your first time calling for the MAAC tournament?
This was both of ours.
Really? Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. First time down there?
Yeah.
First time.
Wow. Yeah, it was.
It's a good first time getting this.
Yeah, it was super special. It was such a blessing to call all of these players, but specifically Justin Menard and Collins-Roberts. I could say the whole roster.
Menard had such a good game.
I'll stay with the first name I said. Menard made for some spectacular basketball, just such an electric player.
Absolutely. He went 5 of 9 from deep, and it was to the point where he was feeling himself, and you were like, why are you taking that shot? That's Justin Menard's game.
Yeah.
He hits the shots where you're like, do not take that shot. No. He hits it.
He did go for a heat check after hitting those first 2. He didn't connect on that third one, and they're Dunn and
I don't think Dunn was very happy with him.
They have a fun relationship. They go back and forth on what's a good shot, what's not, but it reminds me of kind of I don't want to harp on NBA comparisons too much, but Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry, like, what's a good shot? What's a bad shot? What's a great shot? And it's different for every player. And I think Justin Menard kind of stretches the definition of what's a good shot.
He also had 6 assists in this game, but the 1-seeded MAAC Warriors would go on to hold him pretty well in the MAAC semifinals. Justin finished 2 of 11 from the floor, 0 of 3 from deep, 9 points. He'd had 6 assists and 4 rebounds, but he just was not the primary shot taker because Joe Gallo, the head coach of the Warriors, does this crazy 2-3 zone, plays like a 4-1, combination of a man and a zone. It makes no sense, but it works so well, and it takes out a guy like Menard.
It is, if they get on the official March Madness NCAA tournament stage, they are going to give teams problems.
Yes.
Gallo sees the basketball court like a chessboard. It's ridiculous. So you mentioned the 2-3 zone. It's extended because the wings on the bottom kind of guard the perimeter, and you have one man kind of floating, trying to bait passes, steal everything on the backside, and then they double everything off the perimeter. You drive right, you're seeing 2 people. You snatch back, you're going to get one man pressure all times, and then you snatch back, you're going to get doubled by another person. So they wall off at the free throw line. Marist actually did a good job in the first half, enough that
it was only a 1-point game.
Yeah, Gallo had to switch out of it for a second. He dropped back into a 1-3-1. Kabamba and Blackwell and Menard all got open for those mid-range shots. They were good looks. They just couldn't connect. There was a couple that they missed opportunities in that first half. They got great looks. And Gallo mentioned in the post game, the first half wasn't great for deflection, so that was the point of emphasis heading into that second half. And
boy, did they get it in the second.
More than doubled their first half deflections in the second half.
39.
It was ridiculous. They flipped a switch, and honestly, no one was able to get anything at the free throw line. They just collapsed, and Marist had to just make difficult shots, and that's the only reason that this game was this close.
I think also the fact that they shot really well was a big factor in it. 48% from the floor in the second half, and they were 43% overall on the game. Mm-hmm. And then you had the rebounding. They out-rebounded MAAC. So they had their good looks. Their defense was smothering as always. Yeah. But the problem with them, 20 turnovers, MAAC had 9. And in fact, Joe Gallo, after the game, he was saying, look, if I'm looking down at my stat sheet and I see we had 9 turnovers, the opponent had 20, I thought we win by 15.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't. It was so much closer than that. And really, it was a coin flip of a game.
Yeah, it really was a coin flip of a game. You change 2 possessions, and the entire Marist might be playing Siena in the MAAC championships right now. So it's difficult, especially this time of the year. Before the game, I actually said it's not about who gets hot; it's what defense cracks first. I stand corrected. It is who got hot first, and it was Ty Dorsett. He lit Marist up. 23 points, 10 for 17, 3 for 5 from 3. He was just all over it.
All 40 minutes.
They felt he should have been an all-MAAC selection, and that is...
Yes, Ernest Shelton and Kaveri Kennedy were saying that after the game. They're like, hey, Dorsett should have been an all-MAAC team player.
You mentioned Ernest Shelton. He had 19 in the first round. He is a very capable shooter. Him and Dorsett just open up the floor. MAAC is really going to if they can beat Siena, they are going to give teams problems in the tournament.
The one thing that I think is interesting is Siena runs 7 or 8 guys in rotation. MAAC runs 6.
Yeah.
Ty Dorsett, Kaveri Kennedy, Ernest Shelton, Todd Brogna, Andres Marrero.
They run hard.
And Casey Uguakazi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Uguakazi last night got eliminated or got ejected from the game because he fouled out with 6 minutes to go, give or take.
Yep. He just really wasn't. I mean, it's hard because you want to say he wasn't a factor because he only played 18 minutes, but
5 rebounds.
But he's
and
one of the
3 blocks.
He's one of the most efficient defenders. We talk about it.
So good in the paint.
Through the regular season, only averaged 21 minutes per game, or he only played in 21 games in the season, and he was first on the team in blocks with 60. It was ridiculous numbers. His blocks per minute it has to be amongst the nation's leaders. He is a fantastic player. He's a MAAC Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Well, that's what you got to do. I mean, you have to be efficient in the time that you play. If you're just on the court and you're just doing cardio out there, you're either not going to play or not going to be an impact player. You have to make the most of the opportunity that you're given, and it seems like he did.
Jaden Daughtry, I think, does that best on the defensive front. There were a couple of factors that you can point to for why Marist lost, and you could say that in any one-point game. Daughtry, he went 0 of 3 from the free throw line, and then there was another free throw attempt where there was a lane violation, so really he went 0 of 4 when he was up there. He had a fantastic game. He had a top 10, SportsCenter top 10 play, a 360 layup, which was super
frankly,
cool.
All over social media, man.
It was on social media.
I have never seen anything like that. I'm being so honest. It was Dr. J-esque, and I mean that with wholeheartedly. It was ridiculous. Such two fantastic games, and I think both of those were the best games of the entire tournament.
So far, they've been very good games. I think the last thing to talk about has to be some of the other possible reasons why Marist lost, and the one of them being a open look for Parby Kabamba. I think it was about 47 seconds left on the clock. Couldn't get the layup to fall. And then that last play, Jaden Daughtry comes down with the rebound. Nate and I were actually doing a film review on this before we started this podcast. 5.7 seconds left. Daughtry comes down with the rebound, gives off for Collins Roberts. I want to say there was 4.5 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
John Dunn does not call a timeout.
No.
They try to run the offense.
Yeah.
Nate actually convinced me that that's not a horrible idea.
I like it.
They got thrown off, though, because
there was a stoppage right before that.
Yes.
And as a coach with the lengthy career like Dunn, he's going to talk about what they do off of a miss. And they're assuming that there's going to be a buzzer because the ball doesn't hit the rim. That's a shot clock violation. So that causes enough disorientation.
Yep.
Just disorients JCR enough to be like, oh, and just freeze for half a second. Doesn't catch the initial pass from JD. That takes off 2 seconds when Rajon and Justin are open down the floor, and it's difficult because you want your players to play out, get a go-ahead bucket. So many teams win that way, and I don't blame Dunn for not calling that timeout. And both JCR and Dunn tried to take the blame. I don't think it's fair to put it on any single person or any single thing. There were things that could have been done to prevent a situation where the referee has to make a difficult call on a 0.1 second shot clock violation. So it's difficult. There's a lot of things that went into it, but you have to set yourself up better for success.